Hello, I'm going to do a quick video about Khan Academy and the research that I've done. I'm Mike Taylor from Oakland Tech. I have worked with Khan Academy some in the past. I'm using it again now, some for distance learning. I'm also doing this in Zoom. It's a nice hack. If you want a quick way to do a screencast, just open one up and start recording, and it's magical. You can even use the drawing tools on top of everything. So having done this for a while and a deep dive more recently, because Khan Academy is constantly changing, and I'm actually a tech person, I'm an Oakland Tech person, but I've also done a lot of technical work in the past with computers and stuff. So I realize not everybody comes at the same background, but I've got some bias because of that. And the first of which is set up a fake account. One of the things about Khan Academy is that it's not always obvious what the student sees. So I really like to know what their experience is going to look like. It's a really powerful tool, which means it's a bit overwhelming. And it's not always obvious if you're a student what you're doing next. And that comes a lot down to whether you give them mastery goals versus assignments, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I would definitely get like a fake Gmail account. You probably got an extra account that you don't use for something, and just turn that into a student account and link it back to your teacher account. Teacher, be brave. If you've never used Khan Academy before, now's the time. Distance learning is your ultimate mission to try out technology and fail. Try it with a class today, or just a few students today, which is actually what I'm doing now. I haven't done it with all my classes yet, but I'm going to for some review at the end of the year. Be flexible and worry less about success initially than exposure for both you and your students to this, and use it as a teachable moment. If things don't work, talk about why it didn't work, what are you seeing, get your kids to help troubleshoot what's working and not working. I'm going to jump down here. If you're doing this for distance learning, you're probably going to need to set up maybe some Zoom calls or some Google Meet calls where you can get the kids online with you at the same time, so you can get them to share their screen so you can see what they're seeing, because you are going to get the inevitable, not sure what to do next, or I don't know what this is doing. And if you can see their screen, maybe you can tell them, or at least you know what they're going through. Because once again, I do think if you're giving mastery goals, kind of picking what to do next is a bit of an art. Okay, so you're going to create a teacher account. You're going to create a class. You're going to decide how to get kids into your class, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But then you're going to have to decide, how are your kids going to work? One way is just to turn them loose and say, do whatever, and I will see your activity as long as you are connected to my teacher account. And there's a join code, which I'll show you in a minute. It's in the classroom that you can give them. You can email it to them. I think if you import them through Google Classroom, once they log in using their Gmail, it just automatically connects to your account. So if they just start working on it, you will see that they are working. You will get an activity log that they were on for 20 minutes and did these 5 exercises. But you probably want more direction than that. You probably either want to give them assignments or you want to give them mastery goals. Assignments are like, I want to do graphing simple linear equations or something like that, positive slope, something like that. You can go and pick a few things from the giant list in algebra or geometry or algebra 2 or whatever class you're teaching and say, I want you to watch these 3 videos and do these 2 quizzes. And then they will see those and they will do them and they'll be happy. The one thing that I didn't mention there, if you do that, there is an assignment date on that. And sometimes if it's past the assignment date, the kid won't see it because it doesn't pop up on the screen. It goes to like a second page. They have to go look for it. I think the other thing I've experienced in the past, if a student adds after the fact, they may not see an assignment that you put out there for that whole class. So it's really helpful to bring all the kids on at once. Mastery goals. This is where you can pick an entire course like geometry or like algebra 1 and say, I want you to do everything related to that course. And it will start sending you reports of what they know. I think for algebra 1 right now, it's basically set up with 8 units that correspond more or less to the Common Core standards. And so they can start on unit 1 and just start working through combining like terms and what's the other thing in there? I think substitution, expressions. And I know this because I actually went in my fake student account and did this, which is why because I wanted to see what did that look like for the student and what kind of reports do I get back as a teacher once the student has done these things. I'm going to show you all this in just a moment. Finally, one thing in particular I noticed is Khan is merciless. I'm using that because a lot of it's like, what's the right answer? And you have to type it in the box. And they do a lot of fractions and decimals. And I don't think they particularly use hard ones. They use halves and thirds and quarters. Most of the ones I could do in my head. But they use a lot of them. And I just think you should be prepared for a lot of frustrated students who get stuck because they can't get past what I'm calling our frenemy, the fraction. I think it's really good at getting them past this, but knowing my own students, that some of them are going to get stuck because of that. So I'm just throwing that as one of my key learnings out here. Okay. And like I said, I have not done it yet, but once I'm going to get all my students to get on for a couple of weeks at the end here, do some review, both for this year and for next year. And I'm going to import them all through Google Classroom because it guarantees they're all there. And as soon as they log in using their Gmail account, it will just automatically have them connected with me. So this is what it looks like. Once you set up an account, you can pick a course and then you can say, I would like to assign these 7 things. And so I assign those in whatever classroom I happen to be in, and the students that are in that classroom will automatically get them. And they can go and do those. The other thing I can do is do what's called course mastery placement, where I can say create a goal, and this is where it says, oh, which course would you like your students to start mastering? And so I can pick Algebra 1 or Geometry or both, and it'll create a goal. And then if there's not a course there, you can edit courses. These are the 2. When I first signed up, it's going to ask you what courses you're interested in teaching, and I think I just picked these 3. Then you have to set this up. There's a due date on it. So once again, if you put a due date on it, it may eventually disappear for the student, in which case you might have to tell them where to find it. And I'll try to show you that screen. I'm going to try to get through this in 10 minutes because that's how long my attention span is. This is what my fake student account is. So because I've set up my classroom as a teacher for Course Mastery, when my student first gets there, this is what they see. And when they click on that, if I go over to my assignments, which is this one right here, these are all screenshots. These are some things that I assigned. And so I went to the geometry page, and this is what I saw. Once again, I'm still in student view. It said, oh, these are things you could possibly try. And this is for geometry. Oh, and there's my assignments that I actually did. So this is an assignment that I actually did. I don't know what I was on there. But there I did one. I got an 80%. I can try again or do the next one. Then I went to Course Mastery, and I did a quiz. So I went to the thing that said Algebra 1. I clicked on the very first quiz. I took it. Said you got a 60%. You want to take it again. Now I'm back in teacher view. So my fake student did one geometry quiz. So that's my score. I haven't done anything else on those assignments. And then I was in if you get something that looks like this, you are in an old version of this. I actually got stuck here for a while. This is what the progress page should look like for Course Mastery. See Course Mastery there, Course Mastery progress. This is in the teacher view. And you can see, oh, that student's done just like that 1% is the one quiz that I did in Algebra 1. So then I took the Unit 1 test. I was like, I want to skip all the quizzes. I know everything in Unit 1. So once again, this had decimal and fractions, it had distribution, it had combining like terms. I went out and took the test, and now suddenly I'm at 4% of mastery. You'll notice this thing moved way over. Then I went back and took the Unit 2 test. It was 9 questions. They were all very different. It was mainly solving equations, infinite and zero solutions, fraction and decimal work. I missed one question on the first try. I had to do it again. I got an 9%. And interestingly enough, I still don't have mastery in Unit 2. There's a certain amount of practice that has to go on. And this is where it gets a little confusing for the kids. So once again, this is the kid view. They're in the mastery section. And it's kind of suggesting over here, you might want to do this. This is the one problem you missed. So when I click on that, it recommends this here. You can kind of see I'm not leveled up there, a little fuel meter. So I tried that one again, got some more points, and now everything's moved over a little bit. But this is just where, back after I did some practice, back in the student view. So once again, this was the teacher view. This shows how things changed. This was the student view. And oh, I've leveled up. I did some more practice, but I'm still not really mastered because I haven't done enough practice yet. So this is nice. Even if a student decides to kind of opt out and say, I know most of this, they still have to do a certain amount of practice. And it's not a ridiculous amount. My guess is if they know it really well, it's probably 20 minutes worth of practice to prove that they know an entire, like, half a quarter's worth of stuff. Oh, the other thing, one of the things I noticed, once again, I'm still in the kid view. There was this little thing up here that was recommending a video because of the one question that I missed in the unit test and saying, hey, do you need some more help? I was trying to do one with fractions of my head. It didn't work. And I think that's kind of it. So once again, I wanted to show you what this looks like. I like to do this in 2 different browsers because otherwise it's a little confusing. So in Firefox, I have several classes set up. This is my example class with my fake student in it, and this is the course mastery progress that I have. In another browser, I could just sign out in Firefox, but I don't like to do that. In Internet Explorer, I signed in as my fake student. There's my algebra class. I can click on that, and it'll suggest something from, it'll show me all these things, but it'll specifically show me like, what do I need to do next? I probably don't want to go on to the 3rd unit before I've mastered this unit. This one, I'm pretty close. It let me out of it. I guess I should go back and do a little more practice to get feeling of full bars. But I really would suggest, if you're going to do this, to spend an hour or 2 as a student in this so you can really get kind of a feel for it, as well as you can see what it looks like back in the teacher view, looking at your fake students, see what kind of progress and things happen. So those are my suggestions. I hope this was helpful. You can email me. You probably have a colleague who uses this that probably knows more than I. I can't stress enough how important it is just to talk to your colleagues, because collectively we know so much more. And I'm going to sign off if I can figure out where the stop recording is. Bye.